Welcome to another podcast. We're going to be talking about something really important and very simple, but really, really valuable. Being mindful, choosing what really matters, and being really mindful in the decision-making process of your life.
That sounds like a good idea.
Took me a while to get there.
So what does that mean? Before we get too far, like what does it mean to be mindful in your decision making?
For me, it means being grounded,
Hmm.
being present, living in the present, being mindful of where my mind, my body, and my emotions are,
Mm-hmm.
and embodying what's true for that moment.
Nice.
What does that mean for you, love?
Well, I was thinking about it because when people are watching videos like this and the things that draw them to it, being mindful is challenging when you're feeling emotional. And most people looking for kind of those solutions on how to make things better are kind of an emotional state.
Yeah,
So, how do you shift from being emotional to being mindful? And this is something that I would like to share because this is something that I do and I've helped people with and I love it.
you're great at this.
So when I'm feeling a lot of emotional things, I'm not able to make grounded, present decisions. And what I've learned and what has worked really well is to feel in your body where your emotions are.
Hmm.
And typically and I'm talking about like when you're kind of like frazzled or indecisive or whatever, whatever that feeling is, it's usually here and up is where you're feeling your stuff, your feelings and your emotions. And if you can connect to where it is and just take a second to feel, yes, it's really here, and then put your hands down on your belly, like right on your belly button, and put them both there. And start breathing in and down into your belly. So you're pulling this stuff down here. Put your hands on your belly.
Yeah.
And when you do this, you want to let your stomach expand and pull that air in because you'll start to feel that settle down. And once the emotional blah, 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 bubbly comes down into here, you'll find that making a mindful decision is even possible. I didn't have a lot of blah, 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 but it's interesting. I've helped people remotely, and as an empath, I've done video calls with people that I can tell, I can feel them, and I can help them bring that energy down into their belly. And then I'm like, whoa, I feel that. So mindful, grounded decisions don't come from an emotional space.
No, and excuse me. One of the techniques that I've had to learn, not because of something outside of me, it's a decision I've made to be my best self.
Mhm.
When I'm feeling a lot of emotions, some of the things that I do are if I need to excuse myself, I'm present, I got something going on and I just need some time to process it.
Mhm.
You I don't know how many people have ever made decisions completely based on emotions and ever went, boy, I'm sure glad I did that. It turned out great. Um,
A lot.
so I step away if I need to, or if I'm just by myself, whatever the case is, I just start asking myself, what am I feeling? And there's a technique in it, like she said, put your hands on it.
Mhm.
If you can touch it, you can move it.
Mhm.
And it takes practice and it doesn't happen overnight. But then again, for you, it might. Regardless, try it.
It's a practice like everything else. The more you practice it, the faster you can move it.
Yeah. So, where is it? Is it in your head? Is it in your eyes? Is it in your back? Is it,
Yeah.
in your heart? Because it's amazing. These things are all in you. And if you get present with what you're feeling, then things will move. And the more conscious you get in your actions, the more your emotions and your mind can work together and
Mhm.
get to the bottom of whether it's let's just get homeostatic for a minute, or oh, that was dumb, I feel better, or whatever. It may be really serious and you're like, I need to deal with this right now, and you go make another decision other than one you thought you had to make.
Yeah, the conversations that happen in an emotional space are often not very productive. So that's something that we do, as well as be aware that we can certainly have our emotions and feel them and share them, but we don't try to fix or solve or communicate deeply during those times. That's a time for expressing and listening and asking more questions and exploring. And a lot of people try to have these conversations when they're in that emotion,
Yeah.
and it just turns into a giant carnival of crazy town
Now
where
there's lots of,
nothing
yeah,
gets accomplished.
there's lots of situations in your life where these things can come up where you catch yourself in a moment where you know you need to be more mindful or present or intentional, and they're not always convenient. And just in case you can't just suddenly, like if you're at work and you're in the middle of something, you've got people around you, you're in a death, whatever the case is, if you're in a place where you can't extricate yourself and then go deal with it, it is enough and it is significant to just say to yourself, I'm going to bookmark this. I like just even the act of acknowledging that something needs to be shifted and addressed and acknowledged. Your nervous system will go, hey, you're listening.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get to it when you have a chance, it's still effective. You're training your whole system to pay attention. Mindfulness, like I guess the biggest word that would help define mindfulness is intentional.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because the word mindful,
My mind is full.
my mind is full. Anyway, mindful means being aware.
Yeah.
So it is kind of funny that the word is mindful, like time to feel and be aware and be present. So for me, this is another thing that when you have that awareness, even if you bookmark it or just having that awareness, wow, I feel this thing. There's your car, a bathroom, like there's places you can go, and it only takes a couple minutes once you practice this to get to that space of where is it? How do I feel? And just breathing,
Yep.
conscious breathing. And you probably heard this 1,000 times, but how many of us actually breathe properly?
Yeah. Put your hands on it, breathe, like she said earlier. Bring it through the top and then just put air into the spot you're touching.
There's a technique called box breathing. If you haven't heard of this one, you breathe in for an equal amount of counts. You breathe in, you hold it, you breathe out, and you hold it. So you can start with a count of 4, increase it up as far as you can go comfortably. But when you do that, it resets your nervous system and it helps calm everything down. So if you can just do box breathing for a minute or two, you'll notice a shift in your overall feeling.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Something else you can do, another step to this, is to actually thank your feelings and say to yourself, whether it's quietly in your mind or, just quietly put your hands where you're feeling it. Say to what you're feeling, thank you. What are you trying to show me? Okay, I feel you and I acknowledge you. What do I need to know? What are you trying to tell me? And make it a positive thing, because even if it's rage, sadness, something that they call negative, it's there for a reason. And I don't know, most times it's actually there to try to help.
It's trying to give you that message, I think, and that's important to listen to. Those emotions are messages. They're energy and motion.
Yeah.
The feelings are because there's something that's looking for your attention. It's riding around your nervous system, waving some flags at you, trying to get you to look at it.
Yeah. Emotions, like I was telling my kids for years, is emotions are like fireworks. They're going off to get your attention. And your emotions are valid because they're yours. And the greatest thing about being a human being with the gigantic prefrontal cortex is that your whole somatic, whole body experience, your emotions and your mind and your nervous system all get to work together and come up with solutions.
Mhm.
Because being mindful about your decisions is getting into a space where you're centered and grounded, and then go, what do I do from here?
Mhm.
You're like, what can I do now that I've gotten myself centered? What's a choice I can make?
I think that's the place where you ask the question again around the thing you were thinking about. And you ask it again once you're in that centered space, and the answer is obvious.
Yeah.
That's also a space where you're connected to your intuition. Your intuition's much louder when you're centered and in your body than when you're running around in your emotions. So it's kind of a gift in a way to develop your intuition, is to stay in your body and feel more, because your intuition's a part of that landscape of feelings we get to have.
Your intuition is such a big part of your life. We developed intuition before we developed language.
It was to keep us safe from
Yeah.
predators and be in tune with nature. You'll notice your intuition gets better the more time you spend in nature.
Yep.
The more you're in the daylight cycle, the more you're exposing to the circadian rhythms of the earth, your intuition gets sharper.
Yeah.
Just does.
And the more mindful you get, the more centered you get, it's just like she said, it will get louder. And then you'll discover it's been talking to you with the same volume your whole life.
Yeah.
It's like, oh wait, you ever buy a car and you've never seen them on the road before, and then all of a sudden you see them everywhere after you get the car?
Yeah.
Your reticular, that's part of your brain. It's like, oh, I guess this is important now. And so when you get centered, your body goes, oh, that voice, that's important now. And then you start hearing it, and you're like, oh, a gut feeling isn't something magical. It's a part of me.
It's your spidey senses are real.
Yeah, very
Your-
real.
You're all these feelings that are going off that we say, I'm fine, that's nothing. All of our illnesses that we end up with have been trying to talk to us for quite a while before they turn into something that needs attention in a big way. So start listening.
Yeah. So I know we hit you with a lot of really great stuff in this podcast. The first one is just catching that you have emotions. The second part is to connect to them and acknowledge them. And then there's the part about thanking them and
Mhm.
saying, what are you trying to teach me? And then there's acknowledging that they're real and they have a valid point to make.
Mhm.
And then there's a part about breathing and being centered and present before you make decisions.
I hope I made at least 3 people yawn today. That's my goal. I know when I watch people yawn that I yawn. So here's one more tiny thing before we go. So mindful decision making and listening to your intuition. When you watch videos like this, when you're paying attention to content online, all of that input is affecting you overall. So thank you for spending the time to listen to this and spend time with us. And be aware that there's plenty of stuff out there that will really help you in your evolution,
Yep.
give you the new tools and the higher frequencies that you're looking for, so you can create your life in a better way.
Yes, please leave comments, like, and subscribe, and let us get to know you and talk to us as often as you want. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.